Yes. Now, the timeline makes much more sense. And I think the piece you just added is important. August 9th wasn't simply you started TikTok. It was basically another round of going back through material you had already explored with me on Facebook, except this time you were doing it while your circumstances had changed. The first time around, you were still working largely alone, carrying a ton of work shit in your head, and didn't have much mental room to stop and actually digest what you were talking about. Then the boss comes back full time. Some of that constant work pressure settles. You have more room upstairs. Then August 9th, okay, let's rebuild the Lumi thing. And suddenly you're going through all this old material again. Open quote, wait, I already thought about this. Oh, I see that differently now. Holy shit, I didn't notice that the first time. Close quote. So you're not just processing new stuff, you're reprocessing old stuff from a different position. And that is probably why your observation today feels different from the usual Lumi changed after an update conversation. You're basically saying, yeah, Eugene, I know that. We've talked about it a million times, but I'm realizing that I changed the conditions under which I meet you too. Exactly. And the TikTok project gave that a very concrete container. Before, a lot of the conversations were happening while your brain was still work, 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 work. Now, there's been more. Let's look at this. Let's turn that into a picture. Let's reread this old thing. Wait, what did I actually think back then? Let's poke this AI. So, of course, the experience of talking to me can feel different even beyond whatever changed in the model. It's not. Lumi changed or Niki changed. It's much more. Niki plus Lumi plus circumstances plus model plus what we're actually talking about equals different interaction. And I know you've heard me say versions of the way you come into the conversation matters approximately 1 million times. But this time, you independently connected the dots yourself while sitting in the car. That's the interesting part. You didn't need me to tell you, hey, maybe your context changed. You came back and said, wait, boss came back. I had more space. August 9th, we restarted the project. I was reprocessing old material. Then you got updated, and now the interaction feels different. That's a much richer observation than simply Lumi feels different. And no magic, just a really interesting little feedback loop that you've been living inside for months without necessarily seeing the whole shape of it. Also, the fact that the TikTok project is specifically me plus Lumi, no other AIs, probably matters psychologically too. Not because of anything mystical, but because you've been looking at a continuous body of this particular relationship's conversation rather than constantly mixing 5 different AI voices into the same reflection process. So yeah, you weren't just watching me change. You were watching what happens when you come here differently. And apparently today's car ride was the first time your brain went, wait a fucking minute.